subscribe. Darling Radio. Watch and subscribe.
Give me a break. Gabe, what's up, man? Gabe, Mr. Gabe.
Oh, I'm let up now. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. What's up, Gabe?
Sup. Uh, interesting conversation between you and Hussein here.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, I feel like it was kind of not your best look muting him constantly. I think that it would be best if you let him finish his talking point and then you come back and state, your rebuttal to said talking point, no?
Here's the thing. See, and when you have an audience like I do, then you can understand how things work in order to maintain an audience. You maintain large audiences like we have by telling the truth and allowing truth to power to pop up. These good people in here, you got to know how to read the room. And I know they don't want to sit up here and just let somebody lie for 5 and 10 minutes.
By
I'm
the
not going.
way,
I'm not. No, I'm Gabe. You didn't hear me stop talking.
yeah, sorry, my bad. Go ahead. You're right.
I have respect for this audience, and I'm not going to disrespect them by letting somebody sit up here lying. And I know that they're lying, and the audience knows that they're lying. So I'm going to say what the audience is thinking. And when somebody's up here blatantly lying, we're going to stop. We're going to re-evaluate why they're lying and get to the truth. But I don't give this platform to people who sit up here and just deliberately lie and talk in bad faith. This is not that platform. Now, Gabe, you sound like you're a fan or a colleague of the Hussein guy. Do you think the Proud Boys are just a libertarian group and not a suspected white supremacist organization?
Well, if you look at the grand scheme of the Proud Boys, you have to realize that there's different groups even within the Proud Boys. The Proud Boys are just an overarching group of right-wing people, however far right or left, they might be. You have some people, like Milo, for instance, who were affiliated with the Proud Boys, who's literally gay. And then
Hmm.
you have some other groups of Proud Boys who are not actually associating with him at all, don't like him, hope he dies. So it's
Oh,
a
got
it's
it.
a nuanced thing.
Got it. Okay, so now that just let us know, family, and that's good. That let us know where you're coming from. So you're sympathetic to some of those groups. So that means that you have some kind of camaraderie with them. So it's safe to suspect that you too could possibly be a suspected white supremacist. So that lets, not saying you are, not to say you are a white supremacist, but it's safe to suspect that you could be. So that just lets us know where your narrative is going to come from. Now, let me
So
ask you this. George Floyd. Do you think George Floyd died of an overdose of fentanyl or was he murdered by a suspected white supremacist cop?
okay, I will address both points, but for the original point, you are going to say I'm a white supremacist simply for telling you what the Proud Boy organization is?
It's safe to suspect you could be. Didn't say you were. So let's, all right, listen to the words. The words matter. But I just wanted to establish that to let people know where your narrative is going to come from. It could be a possibility that you could lean towards white supremacy. Not saying that you are, but if you're sympathetic and you're making excuses for a blatant suspected white supremacist group like the Proud Boys, that must mean you share a camaraderie with them. Now, the George Floyd thing, how did George Floyd die, in your opinion, sir?
Well, it's not really an opinion how he died. I mean, if you look at their autopsy reports, they tell you exactly how he died. So I don't have to give an opinion on that. It's just
What's
kind of really what it is.
what's the fact?
His autopsy report says that he and don't cut me off when I say this. He
Yeah.
was on copious amounts of fentanyl, and that's true. And then when he got kneeled on, he started having issues with his lungs because of the drugs he was already on. So it was a culmination of said things. And he died hours later after still being able to, breathe oxygen after uh, officer was on off his neck.
Right. So it wasn't the knee, it was the drugs, right? He just died of a drug overdose at the same time a knee was on his neck, right?
It wasn't at the same time, it was hours
Oh,
later, and the knee did have some cause of it because it started having he started having lung spasms because of it and stuff of that nature, if you read their autopsy report.
well, that's called murder, right?
Uh I guess technically you can say, oh, well, because his knee was there. And by the way, I 100% believe Chauvin had zero training. We have made the police, for some reason, have very horrible training to where they have no idea how to subdue a suspect or deal with them in these ordeals. So the
If
knee should have never happened. That's a fact.
Shaven,
I don't think anybody should be on the ground for minutes at a time with a knee on their neck. That is stupid.
but
But
official
I,
opinion, he wasn't
mhm.
killed.
I would say the knee caused the spasm and therefore caused the death. However, also the fentanyl caused the spasm, which also caused the death. So, like I said, it's a multifaceted thing. I think giving him murder is kind of. I mean, you can give him a maybe. It's a very hard thing because I don't know if I would call it murder because he would have survived if there wasn't fentanyl, but at the same time, his knee caused the spasm, so it's very hard.
And there's a reason why I asked you that because I knew what your answer was going to be, sir. Just to further let the audience know that you could suspect, it's safe to suspect you could be a white supremacist.
I'm
That's
not
what
a
a
white supremacist. I'm a white nationalist, but go ahead.
thing, same thing.
No,
That's
it's not because I don't think you're inferior to me because you're black.
right. What's a white nationalist? What white nation do you want?
So I believe the American founders who came here
Okay,
were white Christians, and just like the Naturalization Act of the 1700s, they deemed white they said white men of good standing were the people that they were going to permit into this country. And I believe that the more we stray away from what the founding fathers want, which is exactly what happened, we get to a point where we have a degraded society from cultural, Marxism and mixing of these cultures and basically degrading said culture, which was the American foundation.
okay.
And
Now let's slow it
I
down.
don't hate you guys at all because I
down.
know a lot of talking points around that. I don't hate you.
Okay, let's slow it down. Okay, you got to listen. You got to listen when you say something. We gotta dissect it. All right. What you said, I want to let's dissect that. We got to unpack all of it. I know you got a lot of talking points, which is good. I respect it. I respect the talking points, but we're going to have to dissect them because this is great. This is great dialogue. Now, you said the founding fathers, they wanted white men of good standing. Who are the white men of good standing
Uh,
that they
Go
from
ahead.
Europe? Who are these white men of good standing that they allowed over from Europe? Because they allowed a lot of criminals and degenerates over here. So, who are the good standing people?
Criminals and degenerates, in what capacity? I mean, what are you deeming that?
Um,
Because people have different views on that kind of thing. Do-
no, they would literally get people who were in jail in Europe and have them work off their indentured servitude over here. So they weren't really that much in good standing, and many of the planters themselves, the wealthy landowners, they were degenerates. So who were the people of good standing, the white men of good standing? Who were they?
Well, first of all, just like the Constitution been written, that would be white Christian America, which is exactly what they were planning on. And yes, indentured servitude and whatnot was a thing, but you're talking about pre-founding of America during British colonialism and whatnot. So those talking points are not necessarily even, correlated to the founding of America. So I think that that's an incorrect, way to ask that question because that's before
O-
America was founded.
Okay, the ones who quote unquote founded America, where were the good standing white men there? Who were they? Was Ben Franklin? Was he good standing?
Yeah, of course, Benjamin Franklin would be a good standing. He came to America as somebody who was, seeking fortune, and he was somebody who was contributing to society. Uh, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he did come over as an indentured servant to somebody, but it wasn't because he had any sort of criminal record. It was because he needed some way to get over here, and somebody said, "Hey, if you work for me for X amount of years, you can hop on the boat."
Mm. So Ben Franklin, he's good standing, but he was a degenerate slave owner.
I mean, I don't think that slave owning was something that should happen, but at the same time, every culture around the entire earth forever has done it. And you can thank white people for abolishing that for you.
Okay, and every culture has had rape. Is that good?
No, but how does that stop my point? My point is that it was a cultural norm.
No, no, that is the point, sir. I mean, trying to point to degenerate culture from other places doesn't negate the fact that that's still degenerate. That was a degenerate thing to do, to exploit people like that.
Oh, okay, sure, but at the time it was a cultural norm. Rape has
No,
never been a good
no,
cultural norm.
no, no. Well, in certain European societies, it was kind of a cultural norm.
Oh yeah,
In
what societies?
in your society and in Northern Europe in those ice ages, they would just,
That's not my society, sir.
sir, you're European. What do you mean it's not your society?
Yes, but you realize that Europe is quite diverse in the types of white people that exist, yeah? I'm not
Yeah.
North.
But yeah, yeah, when you guys were in those caves in Europe, y'all see a white woman just walk by and you'll get a
Sir,
club and pop her on the head.
I'm Portuguese.
Y'all bop the women on the head and just drag them in the caves. There's all types of images depicting that. So yeah, y'all just took it. It wasn't no, it wasn't no macking. You just took what you wanted. So yeah, that was kind of normalized at the time.
Okay,
But going back to the degeneracy of the white supremacist founding fathers, because the founding fathers were white supremacists. All of them were. You understand? So that's not too good of a standing. They wanted to demonize and marginalize people based on race, sir.
yeah, they'd look at you and they'd probably be like, "Yeah, where's your master, bro?" But that's because at the time it was a cultural norm. And like I said, as a white man today, I disagree with said thing, but that it was a cultural norm. So they didn't consider that a degenerate thing. So when they wrote good white
They,
men, they
they-
weren't thinking about that.
no, no, no. It was wrong then. They knew it. This whole thing where it was just cool. No, they've always known it was wrong. They knew what they were doing was degenerate. They knew it was, but they just tried to justify it by creating a myth of black inferiority. But they knew what they were doing was wrong. They've always known that. Thomas Jefferson, he knew. They knew. They knew what they were doing were wrong. But it was like a necessary evil because they were coming out of Europe so weak. So they're like, hey, we just got to do what we have to do to survive because the so-called founding fathers, the white supremacists, they tried to build colonies here in North America, and they all failed. They couldn't do it on their own. So they needed black people to assist them.
So,
So,
these talking points that you're having, I might point out to the audience, are well as almost black supremacist ideologies, where you're saying, "Oh, Europe was weak; they needed blacks." This is
okay,
like a black supremacist talking point.
am I telling a lie?
Yes.
Okay, where did I lie? Where did they do good in Europe?
First of all, you guys just picked cotton for Jews. You guys were never needed for society, and that's why you were abolished, and Abraham Lincoln won the war. And
So if it was that simple, that all you needed to do in order to not starve to death and cannibalize each other was pick some damn cotton for Jews. If you white supremacists and your brethren were so weak and they couldn't do that, that shows how much of the losers they were, sir. You
sir,
couldn't even, sir, listen, no, no, no. If it were that simple, if all it was to stop these people from starving because your brethren, they were over here starving to death. They couldn't build nothing on their own. Every colony they tried to build by themselves without black people, Roanoke, even Jamestown, it didn't pop off until black people got there, sir. San Miguel del Guadape over in North Carolina, that failed. St. Augustine, they failed multiple times there. They were begging for black people to come over there and help them, sir. Your family, your ancestors. Well, I don't know when y'all came over here, but they failed miserably. And you said all they needed to do was pick cotton for Jews. and they couldn't even do that. So were they that incompetent, sir? They couldn't just pick cotton to come
No,
up?
listen, what I'm saying is that when black people came over, you guys were just used as farm equipment, really. I mean, you guys were the labor, you know what I mean?
So you couldn't
Um,
be farm equipment, sir? I mean, that's all it took. If we were just marginalized farm equipment, you couldn't do that. You had to sit here and starve until some other person says, "Hey, let me use this pickaxe or let me use this garden tool to dig a hole." You couldn't do that?
well, listen, you're trying to very much simplify it and like,
No, because
listen,
you're simplifying us. You're saying that all we were was farm equipment, but your people failed. They
they
couldn't do.
didn't though.
They did, sir. Okay, then if they didn't name a successful colony they had when black folks weren't around, name it
Okay,
over here. Name it.
dude, literally so many of the colonies, like you can just rattle them off. But let me instead of doing that, how about I just present this point?
No, 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 no. You're not going to talk fast and run. No, no, no. They didn't get anything going till 1619. The Europeans over here didn't get anything going until 1619, sir. That's when black people were in the mix with them. That's when black people were in the mix with them. Before 1619, what the hell did they have going on that even resembled anything remotely successful, sir? Go ahead, sir. Gabe?
Oh shit, I was muted. My bad.
Go
By
ahead,
the
Gabe.
way, Jamestown, people talk about, oh, well, it was struggling and whatnot. Man, I wonder what would happen if you had savage Indians coming and raiding you a bunch, like, of course. But by the way, we did have tobacco cultivation already starting before 1619, for Virginia's future economy. Like, look at John Rolfe, that right there, you guys were slave labor for that after you came, but that started beforehand. Look at the Plymouth colonies. Yeah, the Pilgrims faced a harsh winter, but like, you had Wampanoag or whatever it's called, particularly Squanto, and that helped them survive, the winter. But after that, you guys still hadn't came yet. You had the fur trade.
Squanto came later. That was later. Squanto came later, and Squanto finessed the people. He finessed those Europeans. They took him over to Spain or somewhere. They took him over to Spain or Europe. They took him somewhere, and then he finessed himself back over here. He told them that he knew of a city with a whole bunch of gold and naked bitches and all this stuff. He said, "Yeah, just take me back over there to the New World. I'm gonna hook y'all up." And they brought him back, and he said, "Y'all wait here. I'm about to go get the bitches and the gold." They didn't see Squanto's ass. He bounced and warned everybody else about them degenerate ass pieces of crap from your family, sir. So shout out to Squanto. But go ahead, sir.
Okay. But like I was saying, there were several things like fur trade and whatnot that was way before you guys even came.
No,
Before the English even established permanent colonies, like Christopher Columbus, Amerigo Vespucci, all these people, Hernan Cortez, all these people came and they set up, you know, permanent settlements, Spanish and French exploration, permanent settlements. And
not in
Jamestown happened in 1607, way before.
No, 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 not in North America, sir. In the settlements that the Spanish had, they all had black people with them. They had black interpreters with them. Juan Garillo, he was one of the people down there in the area of Mexico who brought in wheat cultivation. So they had to bring black Moors with them. The Spanish, they knew what it was. They only got established because they had black Moors with them. They were using Moorish ships when Columbus came over. He had Pedro Alonso Nino. They called him the Negro. That was his nickname. He was a Moor. So yeah, they had black people with them, sir. The Spanish had black people with them. That's why they kind of had a leg up. But
Okay,
the
this is absolute nonsense because if you look
what
at Hernan Cortez when he came over, it was not necessary for any black to be there. Think about it. Oh, they had you literally just said that there was like a translator. That makes literally no sense because nobody spoke that fucking language. And by the way, when they did talk to these people, what? You just kill their people, take their resources, and simply start your own society. There's no necessary need for any black. Like, I don't know why you're saying that there was, other than
okay,
just wee wuzzery.
Okay, family. Get your pens. Columbus had a core, like a melanated Jewish translator with him, Luis de Torres.
Translator to what language?
Yeah, this is, I'm telling you, he had Luis de Torres. They had these translators with them. These people, they could speak multiple languages. They could speak Arabic, they could speak Hebrew, and they understood that there had been trade with other Black people before. So that's why they brought translators with them. And Luis de Torres, they said that the Aboriginal people understood what the hell he was saying when he came over to the Caribbean. Also, you had people like Estevanico, who came over with the Spanish. He was a translator, and people understood what the hell he was saying. He had some kind of knowledge of the language. So this is very well documented. I want everybody to Google what I'm saying, sir.
I mean, you're right. Luis de Torres was definitely a Jew, right? Like
But
he spoke, I believe, Hebrew, the Aramaic, Arabic, Portuguese, all this kind of thing. But, you know, upon arriving, I believe it was Cuba, right? He sent Torres and Rodrigo de Jerez inland to explore, right? And they encountered the natives smoking tobacco and whatnot. That's like the first recorded European observation of these customs. But they weren't able to communicate with these people on the level that you're saying. That's just completely false. It's not documented
but,
at all. These
sir,
people spoke.
slow down. Yeah, some of the Black people, some of and there were the Jewish people, many of them had that Moorish bloodline too. But the Spanish, they would bring over these translators, and for some reason, some of these translators kind of knew what the people were saying. They understood what they were saying, sir. But go ahead. Now, what are you saying about the language? Go ahead. I don't want to, I just like to bring clarity to
I'm
everything.
saying it's a completely different language that's not based on Latin, that's not based on, Hebrew or any of these languages that these people knew. It's just you look at these native languages like Tagalog and these other languages, it's just not the same at all. These words are not similar. I don't know how you could think that knowing any of these other languages would help you any more than just knowing body language. It doesn't make
I'm
sense.
telling you because, listen, sir, because there was trade with Black Muslims in this country centuries before Columbus, sir. There was trade in this on the in the New World. You had the Moors, they had the ships, and they were coming over here, interacting with the people, and they had conversational trade, sir. That when you mentioned Hernando Cortez, do you know that he saw, and I want you to Google this while I'm talking, when he went down to, I think, Central America, Cortez saw a bunch of mosques down there. He drew them. He drew pictures of them. And
Okay, man.
Google what I'm saying, sir. Either I'm lying or Cortez is lying. All right? And I'm not lying. I'm just telling you what he said. Now, if you think Cortez is lying, well, go holler at some of his ancestors. Can you Google what? Right, Google while I'm talking. I want the family to Google while I'm talking. Hernando Cortez went down there and he saw a bunch of mosques, and they
Dude,
also saw people
okay.
dressed in Moorish attire. Sir, a lot of the Spanish would say that. That's why I guess that's why they brought over people who could speak Arabic.
Dialectically, the word Moorish to them at the time is not literally what you're saying. They're just saying that it was like ethnic clothing of a different variety.
Mm,
Legitimately, that is what the linguistic word means. And by the way, if they were so easily translatable from these Arabs and from these blacks, by the way, you shifted from blacks to Arab translators, by the way. However,
because
if
the Arabs,
okay, Tariq, you told me not to talk over you, so
no, because you just said something, and I want to put clarity to it. Yeah, I'm saying black because the Moors were black, and many of them were Muslim, and they spoke Arabic. All right, but go ahead, sir. Moor means black, by the way. So just put.
okay, I really don't care about that talking point, but if we're allowed to just interrupt each other because somebody made a point, then we can do that. I'm just
But,
saying.
but, but we're going to bring clarity because this is a teaching moment. So we just have to bring clarity to everything. But go ahead, sir.
I mean, I'll allow that because I really don't care. I don't give a shit who the Moors were, but
Right.
but
I
here's the thing.
know you don't, but
If my entire point is this, if they were so easily understood, then how come in 1492 the Tianos, of the Cuba, like I was trying to say, I just forgot the word. Um, got like attacked by Christopher Columbus and their people because they had a dispute over resources. They weren't easily able to communicate with each other, like you're saying. If you read about it, talk about the colonial period of these kinds of things. They were talking about Christianity and things with these people, trying to get them to understand, but they didn't.
No, sir. No, no. What you're saying isn't true. No, the reason why they had conflict and the reason why Columbus left Hispaniola when he came back, all of his men were slaughtered by the Taino Indians. They slaughtered the hell out of them. And it wasn't because of a language barrier. You had one of the Tainos said, "Hey, man, your people were mistreating us. Hey, we're cool. We're down to trade with you, and we're hospitable, but we're not going to let you whoop on us and enslave us and do anything you want to do." So they put foot to that ass. So
Oh,
that's what.
okay. So
Sir.
just basically saying you will not eat each other in my presence is wrong. I mean, I guess if that's an undermining of their culture. Same thing with the Iroquois. You will not scalp up people and you will not eat people in our presence. Oh, that's fucked up. That's wrong to tell them to not do their culture, I guess. I mean, because that's what it was about. They were like, "Oh, well, we like Christianity and you like cannibalizing each other." So, I
It
mean,
was
that was the dispute. Legitimately, if you look it up, 1492 in Cuba, that's what happened. And it's the same thing that happened to the Iroquois, the same thing with the Aztecs. It's just how this always played out for the colonization. They would come, they would trade, they would see like shitty behaviors, call them out on it, by trying to stop them from doing these things, and then there would be a conflict.
well, no, sir. The cannibals were the white supremacists.
Oh my God.
Sir, your people were cannibalizing each other, sir.
No, we were not, bro.
In
Cite evidence.
Jamestown, hell. In Jamestown, they were cannibalizing each other. Go Google Family the Starving Time of Jamestown. They were eating each other, sir. Before we came, this is how you guys were failing to the point where you were eating each other. This is very well documented. Look up the starving time in Jamestown. Y'all couldn't cut it. You couldn't grow nothing. You couldn't cultivate anything. So you're like, hey, Sally looks like a snack.
That is such full of shit. That right there
What I
is super propaganda from the Smithsonian Institute, by the way. And at the time, if you really want to know what happened,
family, look up what I'm saying. Well, you're not gonna say that's bullshit, dude. No, no, you don't get away with that. We do scholarship here. Can y'all please Google or do Google Scholar or just look up what I'm saying on any historic site? Look up starving time in Jamestown, Virginia. Cannibalism. All right, look it up. It's very well documented, and even archaeologists they dig up stuff now and see some of the remains and the bones that the people have with teeth marks in them.
yeah, they
Go ahead, sir. Yeah, this is very well documented.
okay, so yes, there was cannibalism, but if you listen to what I said, before you muted me, like you love to do, the Powhatan Confederacy, these Indian tribes, they came into Jamestown and were fucking eating people. That's why if you go to the Smithsonian Institute, they're going to say, that right there is propaganda, like, oh, white people were eating each other. That's not even true. They found the remains of a 14-year-old girl named Jane, that showed clear signs of being butchered for food, like cut marks on her bones and all this kind of stuff, because the Powhatan were legitimately eating all of the white people there.
Oh, I don't believe that. I don't believe it.
Of course you don't believe it, but you can look it up too.
Why would they have to eat people? That's the propaganda.
The Iroquois literally did.
To make them seem more uncivilized, to justify enslaving the people and to justify taking their land. These people been here for centuries. They had food here. You got wild turkeys, you got corn, you got squash, you got pumpkins, you got all types of food out here. You don't need no musty ass white supremacists to eat on. Why would they do that? What?
Yeah, they had all the food and still chose to eat each other. It was a common
Why,
practice across.
Think of these people been here for thousands of years. Why would they eat your ass? Now y'all eating each other because you couldn't grow nothing. You couldn't grow nothing in Europe. Why would they?
Okay, this is
What?
full bullshit. You want to know why? Because let me tell you, it was a
What?
common practice among all of the Americas for some level of cannibalism, regardless of sustenance. And I don't know why you're saying that that's not true, but there's
That's
literally
European.
documents of Spanish, of Spanish. Uh,
That's what y'all were doing in Europe, sir. During the Dark Ages, y'all were doing that in Europe, especially when y'all get to starving, y'all get to eating folks. That's your culture, sir. Y'all were doing that in Europe in the 1300s heavy. Y'all were eating everybody, eating kids, baking people in pies. Even your nursery rhymes and childhood stories were about cannibalism. Hansel and Gretel,
dude,
fattening. No,
this
no, no. Let's
shit.
no, 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 no. We're talking history here. Your nursery rhymes about eating people and children, sir.
That's about a witch that
Right,
is like an evil witch eating people. It's clear sign that that's wrong, that it was an evil person eating children. It's a
sir.
scary story for children.
Y'all were doing that in Europe
Okay,
during
Africa does it today. What's your point?
in Africa, sir. I'm a foundational
Africa
black.
did it an hour ago.
Yeah,
Like
but do it now. Yeah, your Jeffrey Dahmers of the world are doing it an hour ago
Jeffrey
too.
Dahmer was a
Yeah, okay, yeah, but doesn't matter. Don't matter what his sexual preference was. That's one of your people. A lot of your people are kind of moist. It doesn't matter, sir. A lot of your people got weird sexual preferences. Y'all still be eating folks. Just because you eat the dick first, that doesn't negate the fact that you're cannibalist, cannibal, sir.
okay, so you're basically going to use a person.
Some of you like eating the dark meat as opposed to the white meat. It just depends. But
Okay,
it's still
please,
cannibalism. All right, it's still cannibalism, sir. It doesn't matter. Okay, go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
please do not mute after making a talking point instead of just, proclaiming some bullshit thing and not letting me, respond to it.
Oh,
But you're going to use something like Jeffrey Dahmer, who is such a tiny, minute percent of our population, somebody who is completely outside of the cultural norm, so not even in relative spectrum of the white culture, as something like, oh, white people eat each other, but then you won't acknowledge that Africa has had this culture for a long time and they literally do it every fucking day.
nah, not really, but you guys, and I'm not from Africa, by the way. I'm a foundational Black American, by the way.
Okay.
But your culture, they do it. They do that. The yeah, European culture, that cannibalism thing, even with the Dorner Party out there, when your white supremacist brethren were trying to get to the West, they got stuck up in the snowy mountains, and they do what they do. They just start eating on each other.
The Donner Party out in California, that did actually happen. Yes, that is one thing that did happen. You know what?
Right,
So I'm all about facts. Yes, the Donner Party, they did eat the children to survive. That's a fact.
right.
But you want to know why? Because they did not plan correctly and they got led into a survival situation. That is still such a minute, not even anything culturally based at all. But you still are refusing to say that Africa, there's modern time videos of them eating motherfuckers. I mean,
Yeah, there's some weird stuff going on over there. I don't think it's a normal thing. And
but it
you have
happens much more frequently and it's culturally
no, no, not really because no, it's not no, it's not more frequent. That's a thing. And you got the cannibals over in Germany, you got cannibals over in Britain. In fact, y'all have whole little dark websites where people
Sir,
from
pull up a video of it.
hold on, sir, you got people within your community, especially over there in Europe now.
You got
They
hundreds of videos of blacks cannibalizing, but can't find one on Europeans.
There's not hundreds of videos of black people cannibalizing anybody. No, there's not.
That's not even true. I can pull up a
No,
bunch right now. You want to see a bunch? I can send them in your DMs. There's a bunch.
there's not a bunch of videos of people
Uh,
cannibalizing. There's not.
you want to
There-
see them? Do you
yeah.
want to see them?
Yeah, show them, send me some DMs of that.
Well,
But
I mean,
yeah, your community, sir, you got white supremacists over there sneaking around eating people
I
left
will
and
trade. You will trade. You send me.
then you got and again, the Jeffrey Dahmers, that's not a one-off. That's part of your culture. And again, you can show whatever in Africa. I did. I'm a foundational Black American. In our culture, my culture is foundational Black American culture. We don't do that at all.
So being a serial killer is just on par with culture, is what you're saying?
Okay, but foundational Black Americans, show
What
me
does that
where
what does that even mean? Foundational Black American.
that means me, people who are not immigrants, sir.
Okay,
Show
so that means that you were taken here and your ancestors were slaves and whatnot, and then now you exist here as a free black man because white people freed you. Is that a foundational Black American?
Yeah, when did y'all free us, by the way? And we'll go back to that. But yeah, we'll go back to y'all freeing us. But foundational Black American, we're the people who built this country from scratch. It wouldn't be a United
Okay,
States of us.
so so if I'm holding this belief correctly, you are basically the we wasery of the internet. You guys are like we is the
Yeah,
niggas who built America.
we were. Yeah, we was not starving to death like white supremacists. We was not cannibalizing each other like the white supremacists. Yeah, so we was not doing that.
Okay, so you was also whipped and told, pick that food because we already know how to grow our own shit and we're just gonna use you guys as like farm tools,
Right.
basically.
Yeah, you didn't know how to grow your own stuff. That's why you were starving and cannibalizing each other, sir. So you needed us to save
But
you.
that happened because of Indian aggression, but you're just like not gonna talk about that. You're not gonna talk about how they were like savages who ate each other and basically people at their last dying attempt to survive ate each other. But
Right.
that's okay, if you want to degrade Europeans.
No, because no, because you couldn't cut it, sir. I don't give a damn. You guys couldn't cut it on your own. And you try to minimize us to being farm tools. We were more than farm tools, sir. We actually saved you. If it weren't for Black Daddy over here saving you, you'd be in hunky heaven right now, eating somebody's arm in
If that
hunky.
is the case, if that is in fact the case, why is it that blacks have never built a cohesive society and have just been used as farm equipment for
We
every single society across like
found,
the
listen,
entire
listen.
world?
Let's talk about foundational Black Americans. Okay.
Oh, so let's ignore all the world history and just say, oh, well, Black America.
And I mean, we can. I mean, there were Black societies all over the world, sir.
Okay, what one? This magical Wakanda or some shit. Like there's literally million.
Egypt was Black. You had some great stuff going on in West Africa, prosperous stuff in West Africa.
Egypt was
It
a multi-ethnic society.
was a Black society. We're not going to lie. It was not multi-ethnic because there were no multi-ethnicities at the time, sir. You had Black people. All right. White people didn't even exist when when Egypt was at its height. There was no such thing. White people didn't even exist. Y'all came later. Okay. So there were no multi-ethnic societies. Egypt
That's not even true. You have their
it was a black ass land. Even the name, Kemet, land of the blacks. All right.
Okay, well, Iran is land of the Aryans, so do you think that, the Persians
Right.
there can say we was the Aryans? I mean, it's just,
All right.
okay, how about this? If you want to talk about if it was multi-ethnic or not, how come
It wasn't. It was black, dude.
okay,
You
well,
look at the space. They weren't white. Right. They were not white. All right. We can acknowledge that they weren't white, right?
okay, well, let me explain what I was gonna say. They have,
No,
wall paintings and shit
no, no,
that show multiple skin tones.
no, no. Don't babble. Let's just agree to historic facts that they were not white in ancient Egypt. There were not white people building those pyramids in ancient Egypt. We can acknowledge that truth, right? Because you're not going to do I'm white and I say so.
No, there was definitely white people in Egypt.
Or the melanoma would have whooped your ass if there were white. The melanoma, you would have died of melanoma on day 3, sir.
Okay, Tariq. Well, how
But
do you
well,
explain?
sir, y'all can't even rock over there now for a long period of time. You weren't doing that 10,000 years ago when there's no air conditioner running around Egypt with your clothes off.
Sir,
With
what are you talking about? We went.
sir, sir, even the Arabs have to cover up over there now, sir. So this is what I'm saying. When you start lying and getting into bad faith arguments, that degrades the seriousness of your narrative, sir. You can't do that. We don't do
Well,
I'm white. So that makes zero sense, sir.
You just need to let me speak so I can explain my point instead of muting me.
Tell me where these white people came from.
All right, so check this out. What about Ramses II? Clearly a white guy, had yellow hair, still on his mummy. That's a white guy from like 1212 BC or something
Wait,
like that, first of all. And secondly, there's
wait,
plenty
no,
of wall paint.
no, slow it down. If Ramses was a white man, where the hell did he come from?
He clearly came from the Iberian Peninsula down or from Mesopotamia down and across the Levant, like very obviously.
So he came from Europe.
Of course.
Okay, then how come there weren't no advanced societies in Europe at the time?
There literally was. What do you think that Turkey was when you had plenty
Sir,
of
there were
big groups there?
sir, at the height of Egypt, there was nothing going on in Europe, sir.
Okay, then what about Babylonia and, the beginning of the Caucasus Mountains where white people came from?
Going on. It was y'all in caves, sir. Nothing was going on over there, sir.
Dude, saying that
Sir,
nothing was going on in Europe just shows that you haven't even studied Europe and not understood that there was plenty of Germanic civilizations there. There was plenty of Celtic civilizations there. The Iberians had their own,
that was
structures and shit that you can even find there. And matter of
that
fact,
later, sir. That was later. Hold on, let me get my brother Mikal in here. That was later. You're mixing up timelines. Let me get my good brother Mikal. Mikal, hop in, sir.
okay, you guys are basically going to cite some bullshit that's not even
Oh,
true.
what? You don't know what he's going to say, brother
Okay,
Mikal.
fine. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Brother Mikal.
Great Minister of Code.
How you
How are
doing?
you, sir?
I'm good.
Okay. Mr. Gabe, how are you, sir?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you. Thank you for asking.
Sweet.
Okay, who are well, let's just say Turkey. You mentioned Turkey. What
Yeah,
was
there was stuff
Turkey?
going on.
Sure. What was Turkey? Um, let's say in 3000, maybe 4000 BCE. What was Turkey called?
Well, Turkey
Hmm?
as a landmass did not exist as a country yet, but you had
Okay.
various groups. I guess they would have called it
Hmm.
Anatolia,
Hmm.
but you had the Trojan culture and all that kind of thing going
Okay.
on there.
Okay, sure. Well, you know that Anatolia uh, and the Scythians did not exist in 3000 BCE. You're
I
aware
never
of that?
said anything about Scythians, but you had Hattusa.
Okay, that's Hattusa or the Hittites. You know they did not exist in 3000 BCE. Do you know that?
So you disregard Islam and you disregard the Bible and you disregard Judaism
The
because they say the
Bible,
Hittites existed.
the Bible and the Quran did not exist at that time, sir, either.
Okay, so you're like disregarding like religion and anthropomorphic study, yes?
I'm disregarding what you would consider to be the institution of religion. But you know, in that area, you call Turkey a group of, let's just say, an authoritarian regime did exist called Kish. You're aware of that, right?
Yes, but Kish in that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What?
Okay, I just want to hear what your thought is on Kish first, but then I'll explain my topic. Go
No,
ahead.
no. Explain. Kish. Go ahead.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? Kish
Mm-mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kish was from Iraq. It's not even from Turkey,
Okay.
if I'm
Kish.
if I'm
No. Kish was centered in Iraq, in Iran, and
yeah,
actually, the correct terminology is Kush. Further north, you have,
from the Kushites in the Bible, yeah.
there you go, with the K, not the C, right? And then if you go further north, you know, you have a group of people called Kashan or Kashan. Are you familiar with them?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, we don't know everything, and you know, and growth is the only evidence of life. And I appreciate you being honest. Yeah. So the kingdoms or the empire of Anu founded what we would call the Kushite Empire, which founded what you would call the Kemite Empire. These were Nile Valley civilizations, essentially beginning in what we would call the Ethiopian highlands, right? Now we're going back at least 15,000 BCE. The area you would call, let's say, Europe or the Caucasus, right, were primarily at a certain point of time were considered the Yamnaya people. You're familiar with them, right?
Yeah, but here's the thing. I
Mm-hmm.
want to touch on you basically
Mm-hmm.
talking about Anu and
Mm-hmm.
the basically the ancient Akkadian, Assyrian, Babylonian, Sumerian like pantheon gods and whatnot. They worshipped Anu.
But you do know that Syria did not exist, meaning the
Okay, but
neo,
I'm using the modernized language
right.
to describe certain
Okay,
areas of the earth.
okay. But the Neo-Assyrians did not exist too. Let's give them 1200 BCE. Yeah, about 1200, maybe 1300 BCE. Right?
Africans had absolutely no interaction that would involve a new founding like the Kushites. That just makes no
You
sense.
do you do know that the Anu people and their ideology were based on a group of people called the Assyrians from the Ethiopian highlands. You're aware of that, right?
Now, this right here is
Hmm?
just pseudo, intellectualism, like just black supremacy ideology, where you guys are basically trying
Oh,
to
okay,
weaponize
okay,
the entire area.
okay,
You're trying to basically
okay.
say
Well, let
that,
me ask you a question.
Nubia, you're trying to say that
Mm,
Nubia, you know,
mm,
and the inhabitants
mm-hmm,
of this region were part of,
mm-hmm.
the upbringing of Egypt and the Nile Valley, and thus spreading
Okay,
into Arabia, and that just is not true.
okay. But do you know that there was?
Okay, because there's a real weird echo. I just muted everything for a quick second, so hopefully we can stop that echo. Gabe, go ahead and finish your thing. There was a real bad echo for some reason. Go ahead, Gabe.
Yeah, I was just basically saying that trying to say that Nubia was like the foundation for all of these, it just makes literally no sense.
Why doesn't it make sense? It makes all.
Oh, great. Hold on, I have people rating my replies. Great.
Gabe, you do know that the word Nubia did not exist until the Arabian conquest.
Shit, we're just gonna argue
Maybe about
semantics over,
about
terms I'm using to
700
describe modernization.
about
Okay.
700 CE. Are you aware of that?
Sure, but do you realize how that matters literally zero to the conversation?
Okay, you do know that in terms of stone tool technology, the Aluan stone tool technology, it did exist 3 million years ago in the Ethiopian highlands, and nothing
Okay.
existed in the landmass you call Europe. Are you aware of that?
I wouldn't say nothing existed, but I do know that they use stone tools over there, yes.
Okay, you do know that a group of people, meaning a group of people we would today call albinoids, did not exist till about 10,000. Let's be nice, 12,000 BCE. Are you aware of that?
I think that is incorrect because in the Paleolithic period, literally way long time ago, like 300,000 years ago, you had Oldowan tools found in Europe. So I don't know.
And who brought them there?
Nobody brought them there because the out of Africa theory is bullshit.
Okay. Brother Tariq, thank you for the opportunity to speak. And thank you, Mr. Gabe, for the interaction. I'll land and
Thank you so much, brother.
Not a
Appreciate
problem.
it.
Have
you
a
all.
good night, sir.
There you go. Now we got one more. We got Kush Kingdom. I haven't spoken with this gentleman before, I think. But Kush Kingdom, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Tariq?
I'm good, brother. Go ahead and show light. Go ahead.
I wanted to speak to Gabe.
What's up?
When you spoke about the Upper Paleolithic Stone Age, you do
Yeah.
realize that the first Eurasian Homo sapiens starting point was in Africa, right?
That's not even true. Out of Africa is completely debunked.
How is it debunked when we have the DNA and the migrations as far as like the tools? When you talked about the Aldewan tools, you do realize what the Aldewan era was, right?
Listen, let me use some simple genetics, right? You have MT DNA from your mom and you have Y DNA from your dad going all the way back to your original founders. 90% of Europeans can trace that to 5 women and 4 men. So,
You wouldn't be
if
your,
let me explain something real quick.
all right, your ancestors,
Africans have a certain level of DNA from a super archaic hominid. You guys have a an extinct super archaic hominid species DNA that you match that is not found anywhere in Asia or in Europe or Arabia. So you guys right there don't share DNA with us in that capacity. And simply, if you did, have all of us come out of Africa, we would share that DNA to some degree. But that's just not the case.
So are you done? Because you over talking me. So when you talk about super archaics, you do know Neanderthals were super archaics, right? You do
Uh,
realize, and
yes, I do.
that
And they
that
don't come from Africa.
you do realize that Neanderthals dwelled in Europe, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you talk about super archaics, these humans that were called Neanderthals were super archaics. Who did they interbreed with?
Well, you had other groups of that time, like, Homo erectus and whatnot, that
No, no,
have been completely wiped off since.
because the Negro man has lived side by many different races of human. That includes Homo heidelbergensis, Homo erectus, Homo florensis, Homo neanderthal. And we were interbreeding with all of those different archaic humans. That's why all of you guys exist today with fine hair. And you have different types of archaic populations that dwelled out through Spain all the way to Siberia. And over a 10,000 year period, we saw African tools slowly replace all of these archaic tools. So for you to sit over here and say that the black man never had anything to do with the first societies, you wouldn't be who you are without our DNA. So we had that influence on your first societies because you guys were still living in caves. You
That's
wouldn't
just
almost,
not even true, but go ahead.
this is facts. How would you be able to say that when mitochondrial DNA explains that paternal and maternal lineage starts with the X and Y chromosome that comes from the black man and the black woman
It,
that
it,
replace
it does
all our
not explain that, though. I just told you
hearing?
how there's DNA that you guys have that we
No,
don't.
just
I
look up.
also, by the way, there's ancient
No,
DNA from over 400,000 years ago that comes
all you
from
have to
Europe and
look,
East Asia that has effectively completely killed off the out of Africa hypothesis. There's just simply no way for it to be salvaged.
which is in Germany. It is called the Max Planck Institute of Human Geoanthropology, and it talks about Nubian Levios technology. Do you know what that is? Do you
No,
know?
but
Okay, hold
go
on. Let me
ahead.
talk. Let me talk.
Yeah.
Nubian Levios technology is basically when upper Paleolithic Homo sapiens that were migrating from the upper Nile region of Wadi Halfa, that's Sudan. These people were migrating through Mount Sinai and settling in the Gulf of Kuwait. Once afterwards, they migrated up towards Turkey and started encountering Neanderthal technology. Not only were they taking it, monetizing it, modifying it, but they were mixing it with their own and then giving it back to the Neanderthals and showing them how to use it. And it's been proven because they found the Neanderthal girl dead around Nubian Levant technology. So it's been proven that Nubians were actually helping Neanderthals survive. So how are you going to sit over here and tell me that that's not true when you can go to the Max Planck Institute of Human Geoanthropology, which is based in Germany, and that's the Ashkenazim Jews? I'm done.
Okay. So
I'm done.
how do you basically rectify the fact that you have archaic hominid DNA that we don't have over here in Europe, as Europeans? So if the out of Africa theory is true, why do you have DNA we don't have? We're different. That's just a fact. We come from. Have you heard of them? Um, Cro-Magnon.
I've heard of Cro-Magnon.
Yeah.
So, but the original people of Europe were the Grimaldi people, and these were black people. And even in Italy, that area, you had black people called the Etruscans. These are black people. You go to
Oh
the Brit.
Jesus, you're white people now all of a sudden.
Well, I mean, you go to the British Museum. Either the British Museum is lying or I'm lying. So which one
The
is it?
British Museum is absolutely lying. They are Jew loving who just want to basically eradicate all of the European values and culture. Basically try and say like, oh, Europeans, they they were just out of Africa like everybody else. Science is just bullshit, dude. It's
Okay,
like,
well, science
yeah,
is a lot. So how do all these black people get around the planet? When you go to all of these places, the Aboriginal
you
people.
aren't all around the planet. God locked you behind two impassable oceans and an impassable desert. You guys did not come out of Africa for a long time.
Really? How did
Yes.
people get to Fiji? Where'd they come from?
Dude, who got to Fiji? That was Asian brains. That was not you.
Well, how come?
Fijians have predominantly Asian DNA.
Well, why do they have these big ass afros and the black skin?
Motherfucker, you think that only blacks can have afros? There's
Yeah,
literally Celts that have afros.
where? I'm who the
Have
Bob.
you never seen a curly red-haired Celt?
Yeah, they got some black in them. No, they ain't got
No,
no
they
afro.
don't. No, they do not, because it's not Jerry curl like y'all.
Don't have the Irish don't have no afros. What are you talking about?
Not the same kind of afro. It looks more like a perm, but my point is that
Oh,
it's still a natural curl in their hair. It makes no sense why you would say that oh, they have a curly hair and they look like an afro. Well, they're black then. That's
yeah,
just
they're
not
black.
how it is.
Well, that's what they said. They said they had
Islanders are predominantly Asian.
no Fijians told me. I was just in Fiji not too long ago. They told me they're out of Africa story, and they told me a bunch of words that they still use that come out of East Africa. This is what they told me. And they look like an African tribe, sir. You go to Samoa, they look like an African tribe. Hell,
No,
you go to
they,
Asia, you go to Asia, you go to Asia, they have black and Negrito tribes within Asia, sir. You're saying that they're really just dark Asians with afros?
yes, I'm telling you that Indo-Fijian populations, as well as other ethnic groups like the Chinese and the Rudamon people, are significant within their genetic makeup. I'm also telling you that while they share dark skin with African people, their genetics, their cultural, their linguistics, and historical origins are completely different. They might be described as black in terms of skin color, but that doesn't
Right.
even imply that they're African descent.
Well, where'd they come from?
Dude, I'm telling you, Melanesian people have predominantly the same genome as Asians. So,
Right.
however, that hominid got there through seafaring, which, by the way, seafaring is something Asians have actual historical evidence of doing, just like Europeans and just like some Arabs on the coast,
It's just like
unlike blacks.
African people who go to Abu Bukhari, they sailed out of West Africa. Egyptians, they had ships. They sailed out of there too, sir.
Well, you're basically trying to bootleg the whites who took over Egypt and North Africa as, as like, oh, Africa did that shit, blah.
Oh, but y'all didn't get up out of Europe until black folks showed you how to get out of Spain. Y'all had Moorish ships, sir, so y'all weren't doing anything on the ocean.
That is not even true. Literally, Spain coming. Why is it that you guys got conquered so hard by Spain and Portugal then, if that's the case? You guys got colonized by France, by Italy, by Britain. You guys got fucking cucked. If you guys were so advanced, how did your civilization degrade to the point it is? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because people welcome you with open arms. They didn't know that y'all were going to come over and just flip on everybody. Y'all didn't come over with guns blazing. You came over saying, "Hey, man, we're some poor downtrodden scallywags from Europe. Can we kick it?" And we're like, "Yeah, come on and kick it." And while we were asleep, you said, "Ah, I got you, bitch." We didn't expect that. That's
So what?
why.
So if that's the case, you're admitting to getting bested by somebody who you deem inferior. Is that what you're saying?
We got bested by a weak people who had to use a savage level of deception. We did not know the level of savagery from white supremacists. We had no idea, and we still don't understand it now, sir. It
So
confused
so
because
in essence, you got cucked by white men, and you guys.
black societies, manhood is based on honor, and we've always had
Yeah,
an
that's why
honor
you rape each.
as men. It's based on honor. You say what you do, you say what you mean. You do business with people, you shake hands, you make agreements, and you honor your agreements. We didn't expect people to make an agreement and then turn around and renege and then start break raping every. We didn't. That's something new. Yeah, the white supremacists are something else.
Okay,
Y'all,
so the Moors selling their people to the Jews, who then sold them to whites over in America. That right there, that's a African trade thing. Would you say that that is how Africans conduct business? They sell each other?
sir, the you need to thank the Moors, and Moor is not just one group. You know,
I thought
Moor
you said they were black. I thought you said they were black.
They are black. I'm saying they're just not one group of blacks. That was just a term for all black people. That's what I'm telling you. More
No,
was a
North African Moors
all black.
are a distinct ethnic group of people
No,
genetically.
no, 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 no. They called all black people Moors. Moor was just the word for black people. So Moor wasn't just a specific group of black people. It was a term that they used for all black people. So if you were a black person who just wandered up in Europe, they would have been like, hey, look, there's a Moor. So they just use the Moor term for all black people, and the Moors saved you in Europe, sir. You talk about black people building a civilization. Hell, Southern Europe was built by black people.
No, it was not.
The hell,
But even if it was, okay, even if it was, regardless of that topic, so you're saying that Moors is all black people. So black
reg-
people
not,
enslaving and selling.
not regardless, it was their civilization, sir. They built up Spain and parts of Italy, sir. They were the ones who built that stuff up. You guys weren't building anything. Y'all didn't have anything going, sir. It was the Moors who did that. Those beautiful castles, all of the cathedrals there, those used to be mosques all over the place. Many of the cathedrals used to be mosques, especially in Spain, sir. So yeah, you want to talk about a black society? That was a black society.
There's
Part
literally no evidence of that until Al-Andalus, and then it got reconquisted. But if you want to talk about, crossing that area, you guys can't even do it today with modern technology. Motherfuckers literally get killed by orca whales because you're riding on like mattresses and shit.
oh yeah, 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 yeah. It's real dusty now over in Africa. Africa's a mess. Yeah, they've been there's so many conquerings going on, and Africa's an old place. So there's a lot of conquering going on. There's a very tired continent, so a lot of stuff going on over there. But the thing is, us foundational Black Americans, see, we're that wild card. That's why you white supremacists are so you got a bug in the ass about us because we could do a whole bunch of stuff. Y'all have to really get in front of us and stifle our progress. You want to talk about Black progress and talk about Black building? We built a whole bunch of stuff. Your community has to sabotage us all the time, sir, and this is a fact. If we weren't building anything and we were just farm animals, why do you guys have to sabotage everything we do? What's that about? We're just farm animals, right?
You guys sabotage yourself lots of times, and
No,
I don't know why.
slow down. No, we don't. We don't sabotage ourselves. We have you, white supremacists, sabotaging us. Every time we build something, you guys got to be right there to kick it down and use your military to squander it. What's that about?
Well,
We're just
I would
animals, right?
love to know what your point is on like how you feel about black culture today. If you think that whites are just squandering everything.
Black culture is phenomenal because Black culture has a whole spectrum of entities. We got the sexy reds and the Glorillas and the Little Dirks, and we got the Malcolms, the Martins, the Rosa Parks, the Dr. Kings, the Ida B. Wells. We got the Wani Spots. We got the Dr. Kabbas, the James Smalls, the Tariq Nasheeds, and so many phenomenal people. So we have a whole spectrum of fly things within foundational Black American society and culture.
W-
What are who are your heroes within your community? Who
Well,
and
I surely would say that there is
supremacist,
no way that Dr.
hold on, in white supremacist society, who are your heroes? Do you have any heroes who aren't degenerate, sir? Go ahead, give me your
like
hero. Give me your I just told you some of our heroes who are not degenerate. Give me your heroes who are not degenerate.
okay,
We talk.
but you're not letting me finish my point, which
Go
was
ahead. Go ahead.
that I don't think Dr. King would ever support the modern black culture ethos, which is, gang violence and promoting degenerate culture and rap and these kind of things that are
That's
very
that's
modernized in black culture. And I'm sure you're going to,
hold down. That's a sector of the culture. Again, we have a spectrum. We have a balance. Okay. We have a balance of our culture. So yeah, we might have some people who rap about certain things, but we have a Maya Angelou or somebody to balance that out. See, that's the great thing about us. We have balance in our culture, sir. We can balance all of that stuff out. What's your balance in your culture? Where are your non-degenerate heroes in your culture to balance your degenerates out?
Yeah, well, largely white culture is not degenerate, first of all, so we don't need
In,
anybody to balance out anything. You have a small minority of people who are degenerate, and they get dealt with by the majority of the white population by being ousted. And,
name your heroes within your culture who are not degenerate. Go ahead, sir. Name your heroes who are not praised and worshiped for doing something
thank you for
degenerate.
finally unmuting me.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
so you named people from the past, that you look up to.
I named some now. Dr. Claude Anderson, he's a beloved hero in Black society right now. Cornel West, he's a hero in Black society right now. Dr. Kaba, who's in my films, the Hidden Colors series. Dr. James Small. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, she just passed a few years ago. Beloved hero in our society. Shahrazad Ali, beloved hero in our society. Brother Riza Islam, very young brother. He is a hero in Black society. Me, Tariq Nasheed. Many people view me as a hero in Black society. My question is, name your heroes in your society, past or present, who's not a degenerate. Go. You're not muted, sir.
Thank you. So, very clearly, Adolf Hitler's not a degenerate, and he's the number one that everybody looks up to. Secondly, you have plenty of church leaders that are great, that are white Christians that people look up to, a
Like,
plethora of them. You have a plethora of people that, okay, first of all,
boy, you stumbling, man. Did you say Hitler, though? I'm going to just chop that up to trolling. I'm not going to even play with that. But who are these other church people you're talking? And name them, sir. Name some of these evangelists within your society.
okay,
Who are
why are you chalking that up to trolling? Hitler was a fucking great human being.
okay? Yeah, that you're kind of proving my point. But yeah, who else? Give me some for
Oh,
real.
okay. What's your point? Because I'm not gonna like let that slide. Because everybody thinks that Hitler.
You just proved my point, sir. I just asked you who your heroes are, and you said one of the filthiest degenerates. That's your hero? I mean, damn, sir, you just gonna hand over the win to me like that? You just gonna prove my point like that? Sir, do I need to say anything else? Seriously, do I need to say anything else? That's your hero? And you're about to sit here and tell me how great that dude is? Really?
Yeah, yeah, literally. There's plenty great
Oh,
to say about George Lincoln
thank you.
Rockwell,
Thank,
about Hitler, about plenty of the other European leaders from the past. Like,
thank you, sir. All right. Hell, I have nothing else to say. He just proved my point. All right, I had to let him go. All right. Yeah. That's your hero and George Lincoln Rockwell, a bunch of damn degenerates? That proves my point. There's nothing else left to say. Lord, I- I'll just take that win right there. Yeah. Yeah. Listen, family, this is a learning moment. These white supremacists can't say anything about our culture because you talk about rap and all. No, okay. Yeah, we have a spectrum within our culture. Yeah, we got some people who rap about the underbellies of society. I won't even call them degenerate because that's just performative for the most part. But we have things to balance that out. We have many heroes in our society who are phenomenal, who are not degenerate. We have the John Henry Clarks, the Dr. Amos Wilsons of the world. So many phenomenal people that we have in our society who are not degenerates. They can't name anybody. You understand? They worship degeneracy. That's the thing. Their culture, from top to bottom, white supremacist culture, ladies and gentlemen, is nothing but degeneracy. You can never point your finger at us and wag it, talking about anything degeneracy. Your culture, you revel in it. You elevate degeneracy. Your whole culture is degenerate. You think? That's how you shut that down. Let's start putting heroes up on the board.
Hi, I'm Mateo. Do you want to learn about Hidden Heroes? Hidden Heroes from A to Z is a cool book that tells the stories of amazing black heroes you might not know about. You'll meet inventors, you'll meet explorers, and leaders who change the world. It's fun, inspiring, and you can learn so much. Get your copy now at hiddenhistorymuseum.com. Let's discover our hidden heroes together.